And I made that commitment, and I still make that commitment. And that's why I'm still losing weight. And I'm at 8 kilos of weight loss now, which is insane. Like literally every time people see me, they're like, what the hell? Like, you're so tiny now. You're so slight.
Hi honeys, it's Emmie. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Emmie. I'm a nutritionist and the creator of the Slim on Starch program, where my clients lose anywhere from the last few pounds to way more than that. So if you are interested in that, go ahead to healthyemmie.org, or you can just click the link in the down bar. Also make sure that you hit subscribe and you turn on the notification bell so that you can be notified every time I'm uploading a new video, which is every Wednesday and Saturday. Today I'm super excited to share with you the story of my client Emma. Now, Emma actually approached me at the end of our 8 weeks together and was like, Emmie, we got to do a call about this because my life has changed dramatically, and I just want to talk about how I'm literally a different person than I was 8 weeks ago. And I was so thrilled to hear this. So that's exactly what we did. And Emma, through our work together, she actually came to me already in a healthy BMI. She was in the 24 BMI range, and she has lost 17 pounds so far, and she said that over 17 pounds actually, and she said that the weight is just melting off of her, and you can hear straight from the horse's mouth, she says, I'm not even trying. And every single week when she would weigh in, she's like, I don't know what's happening, I'm literally not even trying. But beforehand, that was not the case. She was trying very hard beforehand, because another thing is that when we first got on the phone, she said to me, she said, I'm doing everything perfectly. This is what my plates look like. I portion up my plate and I have this and I have this and I have this, and I don't know what is happening. My weight will not budge. And she says that in the interview as well, that she was so frustrated because she was so convinced that she was doing everything perfectly. And then when we started working together, she realized, she said, it became so clear to me when we started working together where I was going wrong and the changes that I needed to make, because we had our registered dietitian, as Emma says, going through each of her meals with a fine-tooth comb and showing her where she had to make those little tweaks. So in part one of the interview, because we talked for over 40 minutes, and that was just the part of the interview that was recorded. We talked more than that, just talking about life. But this was just such a packed interview that it's going to be split into 3 pieces. So this is part one, where we talk about what Emma was struggling with before we started working together, and how she was yo-yoing and gaining and losing the same 18 pounds over and over again through over-exercising and restricting her food intake and having a black and white mindset. And she says herself, if I did something wrong, if I fell off, it was detrimental and it was devastating to me, and how she now is in this place of balance, which she never thought that she would reach. So let's go ahead and let's get into part one of the interview.
All right, we are rolling, Emma. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to all of us?
Great. Well, my name's Emma, and I am 29 years old. I live in Sydney, and I work as a researcher, so I'm at my desk a lot. Basically, a little bit more about me. Like, I generally am a pretty active person, in that, like, I would go for walks quite often, and I love spending my time outdoors with my friends and, yeah, being really social. But yeah, unfortunately, I was struggling with losing weight actually for a really long time. I'd probably say for the last 10 years, it's been something that has been on the to-do list, so to speak. And I'd come close. I would do things that would enable me maybe to lose a couple of kilos, and I'd get onto a really good thing. And then next thing, something would just push me off, and then I'd gain all the weight back. And then return back to square one.
Yeah, I mean, tell us about those things that you tried. It sounds like they were successful in the short term. What were they?
I think the big one was jumping on the exercise bandwagon, whereby I'd restrict my calories firstly, and I would eat. Yeah, I'd be literally crazy monitoring the kind of food that I was eating, and any slight hiccup would be it would just be devastating to me. I'd be exercising literally 5 times a day and just working myself to the point where I was exhausted. And I really sincerely had this belief that that was going to be the way to solve my weight loss issues. And I thought that I was just lazy, and that everyone else who's losing weight, they've got this worked out, and that I just had the problem. And it sucked, because I think when I would look in the mirror, I would see someone who I'd be like, wow, like I do think I'm a beautiful person, but I would look at myself and think, like, I'm not at my best, and I don't feel my best right now. And it just really sucked, and I felt guilty complaining about it, but I just stayed persistent, and I obviously discovered your YouTube channel. And then I saw just a few videos just talking about, just actually what got me was when I saw your plates and just how much food you were eating. And I just instantly was like, oh my gosh, like I literally eat so much food too. So this would be so perfect. And I did actually start incorporating some of the meals, and I noticed that I was getting healthier. So my breathing got a lot better, and also like a lot of my skin conditions started to improve. But at first I wasn't noticing a great deal of weight loss. And that's when I thought, okay, I probably need some support. I'm surely doing something wrong. And then when I started the program, I just kind of got where I was going wrong, just in how the plates are meant to be set up. And as soon as I started doing it correctly and getting nice and consistent with it, the weight literally has just fallen off me without even trying, actually.
Yeah, and not being perfect either. I want to dig into that a little bit more. How, clearly you're highly intelligent, you have a great job, and you said, I discovered your YouTube channel and I started implementing the things that I was learning, and I was feeling better. I was feeling healthier. My skin was getting better. And that's the case with a lot of people that I talk to, and they sort of think, I don't know if I need somebody to help me. So what was it that made you say, I think I need a little bit more help here?
Yeah, good question, actually. So I don't know how this is for other people, but I know for myself, I think a challenge I was facing was actually forgetting what I was eating. So as an example, in a day, let's say I would eat 3 perfect meals, whatever it might be that it's defined as. I was perfect, but then I would eat the chocolates. And then I'd have a coffee here or there that had a full cup of soy milk. And I would add these up over the course of the day. And let's say, for example, obviously pre-coronavirus, when I was in office, some days I'd be literally having 4 cups of coffee a day, as in soy milk cups of coffee. But I would just forget. And anyway, I think what I realized was, I was like, surely I just felt that surely I was doing something wrong, but I couldn't remember. And I felt that what the course gave me, it really forced me to have someone that was just monitoring me, like going over my things like with a fine-tooth comb, and just finessing everything, just to be like, okay, you've done this right, but this is what you've gotten wrong here. And maybe if we make these tweaks, that will change everything. So I would say, if you're struggling and you just like, I'm doing it all right, I'm telling you, I've been there. I get it. I really sincerely get it. But no, you probably are just forgetting something. And having the food diary, oh my God, I love that food diary so much. Just taking photos and having people look over it at the end of the week and giving you feedback. That's what got me onto the straight and narrow very, very quickly. I think it took me probably 3 weeks to fully adjust. And even then, in that time, I wasn't perfect and I was still losing weight.
So many things that I want to say from what you just said. And the first one is that you have proven that there is a phenomenon known as meal amnesia. And it's you've proven it. We have this, it's a biological survival mechanism. And what it is in order for humans to live, we have to eat, obviously. So to make sure that we are motivated to eat every single day, multiple times a day, we actually forget that we've had a meal because that will make us go and look for more food. And you've proven that yourself. And that's why on the program, we have you, like you said, taking pictures of everything that you're eating. And so many people come down to the program, they're like, I didn't realize I was taking like a hand of this there, a bite of that there, finishing whatever my kids were having, finishing my part.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then, like you said, you have the registered dietitian is going through it at the end of every week. And you're kind of like, okay, this makes sense now. So my question for you is, did you realize this when we first got on our call together? Did you realize, I mean, I'm having meal amnesia. I'm eating things and I'm not realizing it.
So no, and it's funny because I very much thought that I was doing everything right, and it was just, I guess, this instinctual feeling of I can't be, like, I'm not getting the results, so factually I'm not doing something right. And then I think it became very apparent to me very quickly that I had meal amnesia. Oh gosh. And it's so true because I would literally I'd find myself and also just like eating out as well and just not meal prepping. So it was all of these factors of the food that I was eating. Maybe it was healthy biochemically in many ways, but if it was being prepared in a restaurant, you don't know. And I know for me, I wasn't saying to them, ensure there's no oil when you're cooking that. No, of course I wasn't doing that. And just adding all of these things up, that's why I felt that at one point it wasn't so much that I was gaining weight, but my weight was not budging whatsoever. So yes, I really say to people, like, if you're really struggling with it and you really feel like you're doing the right thing and you're just like, I don't understand why I'm not losing the weight, chances are that's the case. And it really, oh my gosh, it really helps having someone like monitoring what you're doing, because it does make you think and make you hold yourself a bit more accountable. And I would also say that what it does, as well, as when you aren't perfect, and I was not perfect, but I was a lot closer to perfect on the program, and that's why I've been able to achieve the results. It's not about you literally eating rice and salad all the time and that's it. And if you don't, then you're just going to balloon. No, you can't. Like, there is a balance, but yeah, oil. If you include oil, it's game over.
It's so funny that you say that, because you would write in the chat and you'd be like, how is this happening? I don't get it. It's melting off me and I'm not even perfect. And it's so funny because that's actually a big part of the program, is that we don't want you to be perfect. And that's why we have you create your system, so that when we look long term, we can have this be something sustainable over the long term. So, okay, we've discovered that you were experiencing meal amnesia. So you were having things that you didn't know that you were having. Do you think if you learned about this phenomenon and you said, okay, maybe that's what I'm having, if you just started taking pictures of all your meals alone and started writing down everything that you were having, do you think that would have been enough to help you get that weight off?
No, not alone. I think, I mean, in theory, I wish I could say yes, but I really did need, like, I didn't understand any of this before. I mean, if I look back into the past, I mean, if I had the knowledge that I had today, then maybe, but even then, I think what really helped me was having people talk through a lot of the psychological side of things, because it's the emotional eating too. I mean, one thing that I noticed that I was doing as well is I know that even now, and I eat a lot of food. I eat so much food. Like, the plates of food are literally bigger than my head. It's ridiculous. But even now, I still deal with the voice that's like, oh my gosh, like, you're eating so much, oh my gosh, you've already had 5 potatoes today. Like, I get through it, trust me, but it's still there. It's still something that I have to just ignore. And having people like, you know, the coaches that we had, oh my gosh, they would literally just talk sense into you, really. And I think what I found really beneficial, particularly around the meals, was if I found myself straying or wanting to stray and go towards a chocolate or a meal that wasn't that healthy, it's because I haven't had a proper meal yet. That's the reason. I haven't eaten a proper meal. And what I started doing based on some of the feedback was, if you're struggling with this and you're wanting to go for those naughty foods, make yourself a proper meal and ask yourself that question again. And I made that commitment, and I still make that commitment, and that's why I'm still losing weight, and I'm at 8 kilos of weight loss now, which is insane. Like, what the hell?
For my non-metric peeps, that's nearly 20 pounds. Why?
Yeah.
Sideways and disappear.
Yeah. Literally every time people see me, they're like, what the hell? Like, you're so tiny now. You're so slight. But yeah, so like I mentioned to you, I really think that you've got to get into this mindset of make yourself a proper meal. If you're still hungry, make another proper meal. Don't go off and eat the candy and think that, oh, just one's enough. No, it's not. You know yourself. You know you're going to eat that whole packet.
Yeah, and you know, something that we always say, it's you are not the problem. Just because you're going to eat the whole packet of Bickies, as you guys say, it doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you. You are not the problem. It's you know, you just don't have that system in place. The system that you just talked about, Emma, that you've implemented, which is when you want to stray to that other stuff, you have a proper meal, you eat that proper meal, and then you ask yourself that question again. Now, what happens, Emma, when you have that proper meal and the chocolate still sounds really good?
In part 2 of the interview, we're going to talk more about Emma's relationship with the cravings that she has and what she does now, and the number one thing that she never ever does in order to stay on track in the long term. In part 2 of the interview, we're also going to be talking about the more balanced mindset that she's adopted and how she's gotten to the place where she can have a vegan donut here and there and it doesn't spiral into a binge, and how she shifted her mindset from going from this place of black and white to this gray area that she can sustain for the long term. So if you're interested in that, check out part 2, which is coming very soon. I love you, honeys, and I'll see you in my next one. Woo!